What is SCP Uncontained? Well, SCP Uncontained is my TV show. Yes, you heard that right, I have a TV show. SCP Uncontained is based in the SCP universe. Now, this video will be an introductory to the SCP Uncontained world. So if you're new to both my channel and the SCP universe, watch this video as kind of an introductory episode before watching the pilot episode 1 and episode 2. To understand my show, you first need to understand the SCP Foundation. What is the SCP Foundation? The SCP Foundation is a shadow organization that exists above all world governments. Their job is to secure, contain, and protect. They secure and contain anomalous entities and protect humanity. These anomalous entities are considered SCPs, and they are given a number instead of a name. So SCP-111 and SCP-223 are both different SCPs. An SCP can be anything from a small orange blob that cures depression to a giant indestructible lizard that wants to kill every single living thing on Earth. It's pretty crazy. The SCP Foundation is run by a group of scientists. However, the top level of scientists is the O5 Council, or Level 5 Council. These are 12 or 13, depending on the tale, of the highest ranking members in the Foundation. They have a lot of information that is not privy or known by other members of the Foundation. In fact, you have to get a level of qualification to even know of the O5 Council's existence. The O5 Council are probably anomalous themselves, especially one who is the first or apparent founder of the SCP Foundation. The SCP Foundation has thousands of SCPs, and how can they tell which are dangerous and which aren't? Well, they use these things called the D-Class. The D-Class are human test subjects. They are said to be inmates taken from either life sentences or death row. They are then taken to the Foundation and told if they serve a whole month of, work by being shoved into rooms with giant alligators that want to eat them, then they will be freed. However, D-Classes don't actually get freed. In fact, after a month, they get terminated. So the Foundation isn't all happy and rainbows trying to protect the universe. In fact, they do a lot of scummy things to do so. SCPs are classified between Safe, Euclid, and Keter, but don't let the names trick you. A safe SCP doesn't mean it is safe. Basically, the containment procedures indicate on how easy they are kept in their containment area. Let's think of the locked box method. If you put an SCP inside of a box and you close it and you don't even have to lock it and the SCP won't get out, it is a safe SCP. Even if that SCP, if taken out, would end the world. It itself does not try to escape, therefore it needs no extra precaution and is considered safe. A Euclid SCP is an SCP you throw in a box and you have to lock the box, because the SCP might attempt to break out, as you do not know. A Keter SCP is an SCP which you put in the box, you lock it, you throw it in the ocean, and then you lock it again, and then you throw the ocean into the sun. A Euclid SCP will always be attempting to break out of their containment. They require constant supervision and changing of their containment procedures. Now that I've explained the SCP Foundation, let's talk about the SCP Uncontained universe. So the SCP Uncontained universe is based in an alternate universe to the actual SCP Foundation, which is a website that you can go visit right now if you want and read all about these different SCPs. Since there's a lot of writers on the website, there isn't one confirmed canon, but instead multiple canons. But there is a kind of blanket canon that covers all of the little stories, and SCP Uncontained kind of changes that canon. Instead of multiple sites around the world containing different anomalies, in SCP Uncontained it is all one big site, considered Site-19. Inside of this Site-19, there are our four main characters. X, who is an anomaly himself, classified as SCP-000. X is an incredibly powerful anomaly, classified as a Apollyon, which, if we return to the locked box method, basically means if you put an Apollyon in a box, the box is on fire, you're on fire, your brother's on fire, your sister's on fire, the world's on fire, and you're all dead. Apollyons are unstoppable creatures, or anomalies that can't be prevented by normal means. However, X is a bit more humanoid and does not actively want to destroy the world. X is quite happy-go-lucky. He's always wanting for a fight or something interesting to happen. He is about infinite years old, which means that he gets bored by really simple things. He's done almost everything. His only goal in life is to have fun. But this fun means that he has to limit his powers, which means in the show he's not as powerful as he could be. because how fun is it if you can just blow away every threat with a click of your fingers? So X has purposefully limited his powers by a lot. Moving on to X's best friend, who is Javen. Javen is a D-class who was sent into X's containment after X asked for a human teddy bear. Javen has absolutely no memory of who he was before the Foundation, and so he doesn't actually know his true birth year. This leads to him really enjoying time spent with X, because X is the only person that really has fun with him. Javen appreciates X for all of the fun adventures that they go on, but unfortunately some of the adventures do affect Javen mentally. The Great Detective Cripple. Now, C has been a part of the Foundation for quite a short amount of time, and yet he has risen in the ranks tremendously. He is one of the top detectives by the Foundation. He was recently hired to take a look at SCP-000, follow him, and figure out his powers. He was hired by an unknown force. The next character is Amy. Amy Goldenheart is the highest ranking psychologist in the entire Foundation. She somehow has an O5 card, which allows her to access every part of the Foundation. She also has a disdain for the O5 Council, constantly referring to killing or maiming them. She isn't just any normal girl, however, though. She is Amy, and Amy is Amy and always will be Amy, because she is Amy. If you're someone interested in watching the show, there's a playlist down in the description and in the iCard up there, but let's continue on talking a little bit more about the world. So what is the show really about? Well, the show is about these 4 characters having crazy adventures. Now, those aren't all of the characters that will be in the show. There are some characters that are on the way, and I have some really cool plot lines to follow them up. Who makes the show, you may be asking, and that is me. I do the art, I do the music, and I do the sound design. I have friends that help with voice acting, however. If you want to help voice act, you can go down to the description. There was my Discord link. Join my Discord and DM me with your age, gender, and your type of voice, just so I don't give you a role that isn't appropriate. How many episodes will there be, you may be asking at the top of your lungs, or you may not be, I don't know. There are 20 episodes currently planned, with several out of canon stories that I will also tell. So if you watch this video and you're interested in watching the show, like I just said, there were playlists down in the description for the entire show. I do have to say, they definitely get better. The pilot, episode 1 and episode 2 are all months apart, and I have to say, each episode will gradually get better. The amount I've learned between the pilot, episode 1 and episode 2 is immense, and I can't wait for you all to see episode 3, which is currently way into production. In fact, we are almost finished with the art. I'm incredibly happy that a lot of people have found my channel and a lot of people are enjoying my content, and I just hope that you guys will stick around for the non-Dream SMP content. I am going to make more Dream SMP videos, so if you weren't very interested in this video, there will be more Dream SMP theories in the future. But I do want people to get more involved with my show, because that is like my main passion project. I've been working on the show for years, and I'm just really happy with it. It might not be Vivzy Pop levels, but the fact that I'm doing it when I'm pretty young, I'm really proud of myself, and I really want you guys to enjoy it as well, and I want to get better and better so I can make like actual shows when I'm a bit older, and I can go on to, you know, maybe you'll see me in a few years by making shows. Just remember the name Devon Mulvihill, remember the name Decoys, because hopefully that's where I'm going to end up, is making official TV shows for Disney and all that. That's my big dream, is to make TV shows, specifically cartoons, as they shaped a large part of my early life, and I want to do the same for other people. So I'm not going to keep you around waiting any longer. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe if this video gets a certain amount of likes, and if you enjoyed the video, if you want to check it out, please comment down below, so I know that you guys want non-Dream SMP content. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video, and if I don't see you there, I'll see you in the next life, and if I don't see you there, I'll see you on the flip side. Bye bye!